YouTube, welcome back. We are now on Ghost 5 of my Nerdtastic Halloween videos for this year. I am so excited about this one, but of course, before I get into it, spoilers ahead. Like I've said in the other videos, my ghosts that I am doing do have spoilers for the movie Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, and I never want to spoil anything for anyone. So, big old spoiler warning, especially for this video, as this ghost definitely is a bit of a spoiler. So I would definitely recommend probably turning off this video if you haven't seen the movie and are going to. But yeah, so now that that is out of the way, let's talk about ghost number 5. I picked this ghost even though they are only on screen for probably the smallest amount of time of anyone in the movie. But I love this ghost even though she's only on screen for a few seconds. And that is Mrs. Frazier, or as I lovingly refer to her as, Eggbeater Mom. Mrs. Frazier is probably one of my favorite ghosts that are only in the movie for a few seconds. Probably because of just how, striking it was to see what her ghost form was. Some part of me kind of figured out her whole plot line the first time she's on screen, I kind of had a feeling, but I wasn't sure what her death look was going to be, and her coming around the corner with a tray of cookies and you seeing what it was so good that I was just like, I need to see if I can try and recreate it. And I have to say it was a bit of a struggle, but I am really happy that I tried it because I really did like how striking her look was. So, without further ado, let's hand it off to voiceover and get into this video.
Okay, let's get into Mommy Dearest. So because this is a prosthetic look, I did do my prep of using a washable glue stick on my eyebrow. I also did use it on my eyelashes, which seemed really unnecessary. So I don't know why I did that. Don't do that. But I put down the washable glue stick just to make sure that I don't lose any hair in the process of this. So this is my anchor pretty much, or my base. I made this out of liquid latex and cotton, and as you can see, the 3 circles on the top and the 2 on the bottom are my magnets. This whole thing is held up by a bunch of magnets, and I am actually really shocked that it worked as well as it did. It would probably have worked better if I had something lighter than the Eggbeater I had, but overall, for the fact that I just kind of pulled this out of thin air, I think it worked pretty damn well. May not end up being the prettiest look, but still, it held up on its own, and I'm taking that as a win. Anyway, I am just gluing everything down, and then I go in with some liquid latex on the edges to make sure that everything is adhered to my face. And now, re-looking at this footage, this base piece kind of gives off Phantom vibes. Or like a really messed up, skull eye. Am I the only one seeing that? Probably. Now I do a quick test with my prosthetic Eggbeater. Make sure everything's adhered well for the base. And I realize it needs to be a little bit stronger, so I go in with my all-time favorite thing, tissue paper. So I lay down some liquid latex and some tissue paper to kind of make like an exoskeleton for the base. And it definitely makes it a lot stronger of a hold in general. I really do love using tissue paper with liquid latex. It's one of my favorite like go-to things to use with it, especially for strengthening some of my prosthetics. And now that is much stronger, let's show you the baby. So here is my prosthetic. As you can see, the magnets are in the inside, and then I built a whole piece around it. So here's the first test, and as you can see, it hangs on pretty damn well. So before applying the Eggbeater, I go in and do everything else first. So my foundation, my eye look, everything, because once I put that piece on, I cannot see out of my right eye. So the base is just my normal foundation base, because Mrs. Frazier doesn't have, like, she's not blue like other or a cartoony color. She is a neutral, like, regular skin tone, which I do think is interesting. I wish there was more lore on the ghosts in the Beetlejuice universe, because, like, some have normal skin tone, some are cartoony colored. You know, there's so many questions I have about it, but, you know, I don't know if we'll ever find out, unless Tim Burton decides to just write an entire book about all the ghosts, which would be cool. Anyway, Miss Frazier is supposed to be like a 50s housewife, and you really can't see what her other eye looks like, so I tried to keep the makeup very neutral colored, so like browns and a little bit of pink, to try and just keep everything very, very natural-esque, but also slightly sunken in, so that's why it's a little bit darker than a normal brown eye, just to make her eye look a little more sunken in. But really, I just kind of winged this makeup look, because you really don't see her other side of her face, so you have no idea what kind of makeup she would be wearing. I was just basing it off of my own ideas. I also just kept my eyebrow in just a normal brown, again, trying to keep everything very natural, neutral color scheme. And then I do use a little bit of blue on the inner corner and on my waterline, because she is still a ghost, and, like, I wanted to keep that, like, Tim Burton sunken eye look, so I did put a little bit of blue just to kind of make it look a little more dead. And then I go in with a bright pink for the cheeks. So I go in and I heavily lay down pink all over my cheeks for blush, but then go in with another fine layer of the foundation. That way it looks more like a natural blush. Then for the lips, again, trying to keep everything neutral. So I go in with a pink at first, and then go in with a little bit of a brownish tone, and kind of tamper it down to make it look very much like more of a nude lip situation. And of course mascara, because it's me. Okay, now it's time to actually adhere the big part of the prosthetic. So though it does have the magnets, and the magnets do hold it up really well, I wanted to make sure that it looked at least slightly more seamless, so I did put some Prostate around the edges to really stick those edges down before I go in with liquid latex and tissue paper to cover everything else up. But the actual piece itself with the Eggbeater is an old missing eye or gouged out eye prosthetic I had. I think I actually used it in one of my older Nerdtastic Halloween videos, but it's pretty much just a big torn up skin that goes around your eye. And I cut it in half and then glued it to the Eggbeater base and then filled in with some cotton and latex to kind of fill in any gaps to make that look like the Eggbeater is in my eye. And I also pre-painted so that way once everything was on, I just had to do final touches instead of having to paint the whole thing and not be able to see. So it's always easier if you're using a eye prosthetic situation to pre-paint before attaching it, because who doesn't make it difficult to see? But yeah, so like I said, I am going around with tissue paper and liquid latex to lay down the edges, and as we all know, this is not my best my best skill when it comes to prosthetics, but I try. Anyway, so just kind of go around all of the edges, and look at me trying to transition. Oh, and it worked! So I did go back in with my foundation, covered up all of the skin parts, and then touched anything else up around the actual wound. So pinks, a little bit of dark red, and then black on the inner ring closest to the Eggbeater to make it really look sunken in. Also, just a side note, the piece right on the bridge of my nose that looks really bad here, yeah, I, after filming, realized I really hated that piece, and so I ripped it off and then redid the inner part of my nose. Anyway, that's it.
And here's the final look. Overall, I am really happy that I was able to achieve this look. Is it pretty, practical, or necessary? No, it is not. It is probably up there with one of my worst makeups that I've done. I think the only other one that I would probably put it in the same category is my Jason one that I did a while back. That one was pretty bad too. But even with its flaws, I'm so happy I was able to complete it. It's on my face. This is an actual plastic with gears Eggbeater that I took the metal whisks off of and just attached it with magnets, liquid latex, and a dream. And she's still there. She's falling and she's not the prettiest, but she's attached. I can move my head and she is not going anywhere. And that's amazing to me. Would I do this look again? Yes. But I would definitely make this out of foam, and it would make it so much easier to attach. But really, I just had a thought and wanted to see if I could do it, especially because Mrs. Frazier, or as I love to call her, Eggbeater Mom, is one of my favorite side ghosts of the Beetlejuice universe. I love, she only is shown for a little bit of time. First just from behind when she's baking, and then the full frontal when you see what happened to her. And her just coming in with her tray of cookies, a big old smile on her face, looking for her son, and just has this big old freaking Eggbeater in her face. And it's just all smiles. I love it. I think she's the most adorable side character I've ever seen, other than Bob. And yeah, so getting to try and recreate that was really just so much fun, even if it came out ugly, because you know what? Again, makeup is fun, and doing this is fun, and I don't even care that it's ugly and ridiculous. It made me smile, and I hope it made you smile. Anyway, that's it for me. If you did like this video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more, please hit that subscribe, and if you feel so inclined, leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Anyway, that is it for me. Until next time, as always, stay nerdy, my friends. Later!